Morbius is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. April Fools, everyone! What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for Morbius. So, just got back from the theater, and I gotta say, this movie actually unironically slaps. Like, I gotta be real with y'all. This movie unironically slaps. I actually ended up loving this movie. Now, you guys have been subscribed to the channel for a while. You guys know that when the movie first came out, or was first announced, and we got that first trailer, I was intrigued. I was like, oh, a movie on Morbius. Sure, why not? But then, of course, the pandemic happened. And the movie got delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, and then it got one last major delay from like the end of January to the beginning of April, obviously because of No Way Home, and that really annoyed me. And so basically, at that point, my expectations for this movie were on the fucking ground, were on the floor. I had no expectations for this movie. I was just there because hey, it's Marvel. I'm gonna watch and also figure out where the fuck this movie takes place in the timeline. Which we'll talk about that shit later on in the video. But yeah, as always, let's just jump right into it. So, the movie is directed by Daniel Espinosa, whatever, however you pronounce his last name, and stars, of course, Jared Leto, Matt Smith, Adrian Arjona, Jared Harris, and Tyrese Gibson. And the plot of Morbius: biochemist Michael Morbius tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but when his experiments go wrong, he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. So, let's talk about the goods first. First up, Jared Leto. I thought he was great as Morbius, and this isn't like his greatest performance or anything, but I thought he was really good as Morbius, and I thought his performance was really good. Tyrese, he's always entertaining in like the handful of scenes he is. Jared, I thought was pretty good. The cast, Matt Smith, I thought was solid enough, and the cast as a whole, I thought was overall pretty good. Another thing I gotta say, I did like the chemistry between Morbius and Lucius. I thought Max Smith and Lucius, I thought was pretty good. I thought him and Jared had some pretty good chemistry. And yeah, I thought the cast overall was pretty solid. I also gotta say, I loved the intro of the movie, where it kind of like, or I guess the more opening title sequence. I thought that looked really cool. The score I thought was pretty cool. But one thing, and there's two things I really want to talk about that I thought the movie did really well. One, there's this one scene where the movie definitely gets into the horror roots, to more horror-ish, which, and honestly, when I saw this scene, it honestly made me wish that Morbius, as a whole, it was more, really leaned in on the horror aspects, and it was just maybe a straight horror movie, or if we got a horror movie with Morbius. I think that could have really worked out, because you have this woman where they're like inside the hospital, and she sees someone like crawling on the walls, and you see like the lights flickering on and off from like in these long ass hallways, and then you can't really see it. She's trying to get to the lights, but then eventually she gets caught, she gets eaten, and then you see the lights like turning off as it's getting closer and closer to the body. And I thought the way it was shot over looked really cool, and it just made me wish we got a Morbius horror movie, because I feel like that could have worked out really cool, and that could have worked out really well, man. Seriously, that scene was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, and like I said, it just made me wish we actually got a straight up Morbius horror movie. Because I think that could have really done wonders with this movie. I think that could have really made itself stick out across more of the other Marvel films. Another thing I also got praised is the CGI. Now, I've already mentioned this a couple times in my trailers reactions, but I really got to mention it here. I already mentioned how I liked the Morbius design as whole, and that was revealed to be completely CGI. I thought his design looked really cool, but whenever we get to like the radar sense, where we see his bad radar and everything, those are some of my favorite parts, because it looks so fucking cool. I love the streaks of like their outfits and colors as they're going out there, just the overall way it looks. Like I mentioned this in the trailers, and I mentioned this that these might have been like some of the best parts of the movie, or some of my coolest parts of the movie from the trailers. I was right. Those are some of my favorite parts of the movie, and it looks just so cool. And I gotta say this right now. I think we need to start putting more respect on Sony's CGI team for their Spider-Man movies, because I love to think their CGI is better than Marvel's, than the MCU. Like, you had TASM 1 and 2, the CGI in those movies were incredible. Like the lizard fight, I didn't even like the lizard fight inside school. That was like completely CGI, which I didn't know, which never once crossed my mind. TASM 2, of course, had those amazing, beautiful swinging scenes that are still the best in any Spidey movie. Far From Home and No Way Home had their moments, but nothing has compared and looked as good as those TASM 2 ones, man. Seriously, those were built different, man. You had that, of course. Spider-Verse looked absolutely amazing with its animation, man, and the Venom movies look great as well with their designs of Venom. I love how they did the symbiotes in the movie, and here in Morbius, man, they continue it on with just with the radar sense and everything, and just how when we see like Morbius flying around with the streets and everything, when they're like some of the activities later on, I thought looked really cool when they do it with the radar sense, and of course, when just using it and just the overall look of the radar sense just looks so fucking cool, man. Seriously. Shout out to CGI. Shout out to Sony CGI team, man. They got some talented motherfuckers over there, and like I said, I low-key think their CGI might actually be better than the MCU's. But seriously, man, because mostly because they're just not afraid to get stylistic with it, like they did with TASM 2, and like they are with Venom with the design of the symbiotes, and of course here Morbius, man. Seriously, those radar sense scenes, man, look so fucking cool. They were without us some of the best parts of the movie, man. I love those scenes. Now, the music, and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I also thought the score for the movie was also really well done as well. I thought that looked pretty cool. I already mentioned how the opening sequence I really liked. I thought it just looked really cool overall. Now, in terms of problems, now this movie is not perfect by any means. We definitely have this problem. Once again, there's no fucking blood. Like, bro, this is the second time we've got someone Morbius where the man isn't drinking or getting any blood. First up in the 90s, we had, I'm looking for plasma. Plasma. This man wanted his fucking plasma. And here he's basically been having to drink blue blood, this artificial blue blood, instead, which he created as Morbius to like help with other people that are with blood diseases or whatever, and that's mostly what he's drinking. And even during the fights themselves, there is not a single speck of blood, at least that I noticed. And now, obviously, this was done so he can keep the PG-13 rating. I get that. I don't know why they didn't just go all the way with it and go make this movie rated R. We already know how profitable it is, but I guess Avi didn't get the memo. But yeah, they still have like the gurgling sound, but you never see any blood like on the walls. You never see blood on like his nails or anything. Like there's no blood splatters. Give me some blood. If you're gonna do a movie with Morbius, you gotta give me the blood. So that's one thing I had a problem with. And two, once again, Sony refuses to learn their lesson and once again put the mid-credit scene in the fucking trailers. Oh, why does Sony keep doing this? Why do they keep spoiling their movies in the fucking trailers? Like, did they not learn from TASM 2? Like, this is in the same, and they did the same thing with Uncharted too. It's like, why? Why does Sony keep doing this? It doesn't work, you know? But like, oh, that shit annoys me, man. It shit annoys when Sony does that, man. But yeah. Also, this is also one thing I also kind of noticed with this movie. This is something that Jeremy mentioned in his review, that he thought the movie was edited down to keep it. That movie was edited down to like a little over 90 minutes and whatever. I personally thought the pacing was fine, but I would agree that the movie most likely was edited down. I mean, this is obvious. We're talking about. We know what happened with Venom. And because, like, I noticed there was a couple scenes that were in the trailers that were not actually in the final film. There were some couple scenes I noticed that were cut, and honestly, it probably was. Who knows? Maybe there is an R-rated, fucking 2-hour-long director's cut lying in Avi's basement that is waiting to this. Maybe when the Blu-ray comes out, they'll include an R-rated cut of the movie with all the blood back in. I don't know. I would like that, but I'm not holding my breath. But yeah, man. I would also say the comedy in the movie was also pretty funny too, especially when they do like the vampire shit. Those are pretty funny. Like when the cop brings in the holy water. That was pretty funny, man. But yeah, I think that's all I gotta say. Spoiler free for right now, guys. Obviously, we're gonna talk about the post-credit scene, which is only two post-credit scenes that are both in the mid-credits. So once the actual credit starts going on, you guys can leave the theater. I stayed through the entire thing to see if there was anything else. There was just the two mid-credit scenes. But yeah, overall, man, Morbius was a surprise to me. If this is I would definitely say this movie does share a lot of common, especially in its plot structure, with the first Venom movie. So if you guys did like the first Venom movie, you guys will enjoy Morbius. If you're not a fan of Venom movies, then most likely you will hate Morbius. Because because after watching, I can definitely see why a lot of where it doesn't seem like the movie isn't that popular, and I can see why a lot of people didn't end up liking the movie. I personally was thoroughly entertained by this movie, and I overall loved it, man. And yeah, I'm done with buying that Steelbook when it comes out, because that Steelbook's fine, man. That Steelbook's fine. But anyway, guys, overall, my final verdict for Morbius is a 9 out of 10, guys. Like I said, highly recommend you guys check this movie out. And you might, it's actually unironically good, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by it if you were interested in the movie, and especially if you like the Venom movies, man. So yeah, this is now we're going to get entering into the spoilers discussion, talk about the post-credit scene, the villain a little bit. So if you guys don't want to get spoiled, leave now. Everybody else, let's continue. So we find out the main villain of the movie is indeed Matt Smith's character, who, like I said, I thought his overall as a villain, I thought he was fine. I will say this. His vampire design isn't the greatest when he because he also gets injected. He also takes the serum that Morbius took to of course give him this vampire powers. He took it as well, and you can tell between the two which they put more effort into was obviously Morbius. Like his CGI, like his design is fine, but it definitely looks a bit more CGI-ish, and it just doesn't look as good as Morbius' design, which obviously probably because they put more effort into Morbius, because he is the title character. You gotta make sure he looks right. But yeah, you could tell they didn't put nearly as much effort into Morbius as they did with his character. But I thought with his CGI design and with his CGI vampire design at the very least. But yeah, overall I thought he was a fine villain. But his CGI wasn't the greatest with his design when he goes vampire mode. Now, of course, let's talk about the mid-credit scene, which is, of course, we saw that was shown up in the fucking trailers that Morbius, or that about Vulture. So we find out that after the multiversal rip from No Way Home, somehow Vulture gets transported from the MCU over into the Sonyverse. Don't know how that works, because Venom, when that same thing happened with Venom was thrown back into the Sonyverse. I felt that would have made sense if this was like some weird multiversal trade where like the MCU gets Venom while the Sonyverse gets Vulture. That would have made sense. But since Vulture and Venom are both returning to the Sonyverse, as we saw in No Way Home as well as in Morbius, doesn't really make sense how he got transported over there, or maybe he was originally from this reality. I don't know. Maybe we'll get an answer for that in Venom 3 or Spider-Man 4, whatever, whatever the case may be with that. TASM 3, if we're lucky, if Sony actually goes for it. But yeah, so he gets into the prison. He's like, oh, hopefully there's better food in this joint. So, and because they have no records of him, he ends up leaving. And then that was the first mid-credits. Then we get a second mid-credit scene, which I was like, ooh, 2 mid-credit scene. Sony, you spoil us. And when the actual mid-credits actually finish up. And we find out that basically that he is now back in his Vulture gear. And then he basically meets up with Morbius and basically says, hey, we're setting up the Sinister Six. You want to come? And it seems like Morbius choice. Sure, you could make the argument that doesn't really make sense, because he's like, I don't like Spider-Man. Morbius wouldn't really know who the hell Spider-Man is, because the scene that we saw in the trailer where Morbius is walking across the spray paint of the Raimi suit that was taken from Spider-Man PS4. That scene is not in the movie. So he really wouldn't know who Spider-Man is, but the Morbius thread did confirm that Spidey does exist in this universe. I was kind of hoping with that we would have saw Spidey. Like a version would have been Andrew Spidey, Toby Spidey, Tom Holland making an appearance, but now none of that happened. And sure, I'm definitely excited with this, and I'm definitely curious to know how they're going to do the Sinister Six. If Sony's now actually going to be going through with the original plans of making that Sinister Six movie after TASM 2, but obviously going to do it again, but this time with Morbius, Venom, and I'm assuming, or rather with Morbius, Vulture, and I'm assuming also Venom. Maybe perhaps we'll get that. Maybe that'll be the Sony's Sinister Six will be for that Sony Spider-Man, whether it's Toby or Andrew, or somehow they'll get transported back to the MCU, and then they'll be facing off with Tom Holland, or Tom Holland will get thrown into the Sonyverse, and that's how we'll have the Sinister Six. I'm not really sure how all this is going to work out, but I am definitely excited and intrigued to finally see the Sinister Six in live action, because I was excited for that original Sinister Six movie when we saw it in the post credits in TASM 2, but also we never got that. But Yeah, man, I am definitely very intrigued by this, and I'm looking forward to seeing whatever Sony will do with the Sinister Six, and if they're gonna get their own solo movie, if they're gonna be fighting off against Spidey and I don't know, TASM 3, or if we're gonna see them get transported back to the MCU for Spider-Man 4, whatever the case may be. I am definitely intrigued to see how they're going to handle the Sinister Six and who are going to be the other members of this. So, yeah, interesting post-credit scene. Definitely like what I saw there, and yeah, I'm definitely interested to see where they're going to be going with the Sinister Six in future movies, wherever that be, whether it's Spider-Man 4, it's TASM 3, a solo Sinister Six movie, whatever the case may be. But yeah, man, that's about all I gotta say in terms of Morbius. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, leave your thoughts down in the comments. Your theories and speculation. What do you guys think is going to happen with the Sinister Six? What do you think they're going to fit in? Which movie are we going to get in their appearance in? Leave it all down below, guys. And as always, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you like it. Links on the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.
She's too